Hello, good people. It is lovely to be back with you. I want to talk to you today about a video that was posted on Joe Rogan's channel. It's Joe Rogan's interview with Joel Salatin. Now, this was very exciting for me to see because Joel Salatin is definitely one of my heroes, and I was very happy to have him get the platform of Joe Rogan's show. If I had my druthers, this would be Joel Salatin's Jordan Peterson moment. He would explode into national and international consciousness, just like Jordan Peterson did when he appeared on Joe Rogan. But I realized that might not happen because the subject that Joel Salatin was talking about, which is regenerative farming, is probably not quite as exciting to people as some of the things that Jordan Peterson talked about, although they should be. They're certainly very essential to our lives. Anyway, I was very delighted to see that conversation, and there is something in particular that Joel Salatin said that I want to talk to you about in this video. And I may do another video or even two more about that particular conversation that Joe Rogan had with Joel Salatin, and I will put a link to it in the description. Okay, now when Joel Salatin was talking about the relationship that human beings should have with the earth, and first I want to make it clear that when he talks about our relationship with the earth, he's not talking about the blue marble planet going around the sun. He's really talking about our relationship with the soil, with the life in the soil, with the plants and animals that live on the surface of the earth and that depend on the sun and on the soil. So what he said was that the earth wants to be caressed. And he used several other figures of speech like that in talking about our relationship with the earth in kind of romantic, almost erotic language. Now, a lot of Christians get really triggered when they hear stuff like this because they think that what is being alluded to here is a kind of earth worship or an idea that you're turning the earth into some sort of goddess and that giving it sort of its own separate spiritual consciousness or something like that. That is not what Joel Salatin was doing. I happen to be aware that Joel Salatin is a Christian. And he is definitely not a worshiper of Mother Earth or anything like that. Rather, he's talking about what our proper role is in caring for the earth. And the role that humans are supposed to have with the earth is the role of a husband, okay? Now, I want to allude back to something that I said when I did my video about masculine and feminine vocations. There I said that in relation to God, all humans are feminine. And that's why G.K. Chesterton made his great observation. He said, men are men, but man is woman. In other words, the feminine is the paradigmatic human when it comes to our relationship with God. Well, when it comes to our relationship with Earth, it's the opposite. Our paradigm is the masculine. So all human beings, when they are doing gardening, farming, caring for animals, are practicing husbandry, and they're practicing something that is masculine. That is the masculine vocation of our relationship to the earth. Now, a lot of women bristle at the idea that we take something like this and call it a masculine role, because they think, well, women can be farmers too. Women can be gardeners. Why are you calling it that? Because it doesn't matter whether it's a woman or a man doing it. The role is still a masculine role. We have to understand that when we talk about these things symbolically, we're not trying to talk about them in terms of the actual sex of the individual person who is doing it, but symbolically the role that is being taken. And it's husbandry, because the way that we treat the earth is really the way that a husband is supposed to be treating his wife. Remember, St. Peter said that should be according to knowledge. So we need to have knowledge of what we're doing, treat the earth in this knowledgeable, gentle way that elicits from the earth the response of productivity and fertility, which is exactly the way that a husband is supposed to treat his wife. So that is our relationship with the earth in a symbolic way. Now, when we look at this and we say, well, you know, now we've changed, right? We've said that in relation to God, humanity is feminine. In relation to the earth, humanity is masculine. We see that one thing that we talk about can have different roles symbolically depending on the relationship. And this is something Jordan Peterson spoke about. Somebody asked him one time, well, what's the symbology of an island or the mythological significance of an island? And he said, well, it depends. He said, in relationship to the sky is masculine, the island is feminine, but in relation to the ocean, if that's the relationship you're talking about, then the island would be masculine because it's order, and the sea around it would be chaos, would be feminine. Yeah, you know, people got really upset at him saying that the chaos was feminine, but that's the potential, right? It's the potential, and that's what we see in the earth having this feminine relationship to mankind. I hate that I even have to say that I have to say, if I say the word man, that I have to say, I'm talking about the generic man, I'm talking about mankind, because we've lost so much with feminism. Feminists will say, well, if you say man, you're not including the female. It's just the opposite. If I say man, I am including the female because I'm talking about the species, and women are just as human as men. It's the feminists who are dividing the women from the species man. Anyway, so we see when we talk about these things, it's based on, you know, what the relationship is. So we have got exactly a wrong relationship right now with the earth, especially with our farming, especially with industrial agriculture and the industrial treatment of animals and meat production and all of that. We have a very rapacious attitude towards the earth, and that is something that we need to repair. Now, there's one other thing that I want to mention about this, and that is that this is not just something that's mythological or some symbology. It's actually something that's very practical and has connections to our bodies, to the bodies of women. All right, so tell me what you think about this. This is my thought about the whole thing of how we're to treat the earth, to husband it, to practice animal husbandry, to practice the husbandry of farming. And means instead, what we're doing is we're applying a lot of chemicals, whether these chemicals be fertilizers or whether they be herbicides, to kill things that would be produced by the earth. But in a way, in our modern system, we're doing the same thing with women's bodies. Fertility has become some sort of medical problem that we're trying to do away with chemically. And then what happens to these chemicals? They go into the environment, and they do things like they cause sex abnormalities in fish and salamanders and frogs and things. They even end up coming back into human beings and affecting the sexual development of our boys and the levels of testosterone and all that, because the chemicals we put in our bodies end up in our environment. So you can't really disconnect the human body from the physical environment, from the soil. So there's a lot of connections in these things, and I was very happy to see Joel Salatin use the kind of language that he did, that gave me an opportunity to add to the layers or levels of reality that I was talking about when I did my video about masculine and feminine vocations. So I hope that you find this all interesting, and I'd be very interested in what your thoughts are in the comments. And maybe I'll talk again about some of Joel Salatin's thoughts, particularly his thoughts about the economics of how our food is produced. And I've already done some stuff on this in a series of videos about chickens, and I'll put a link to that playlist at the end of this video. Until we are together again, treat yourself as though you are someone you are responsible for helping, because you are responsible. So am I. And together we are making the world. Bye for now. Thanks so much for watching.